hacer el desayuno. Has to help make breakfast every day. ¿Cómo se siente Manuel? How does Manuel feel? En fin, siempre estoy muy cansada. Know that cuántas means how many. ¿Qué means what? Cómo means how, right? Those are the questions. We have homework. Please review your little class. This is your homework. You're just gonna do. Make a sentence. You can use the present or you can use the present tense. Either or I will accept. So for number one, we have mi madre pasa la aspiradora en la sala. You need to write what room this is being done in. Alright, so refer back to your vocab. So you can say mi madre pasa la aspiradora, or you can say mi madre está pasando la aspiradora en la sala. Okay, so make sure you have a correct conjugation of those are, you can use present tense or present progressive, but you have to have a room. All right, so write a sentence saying what chore they are doing in what room. Present progressive or present tense. Therefore. Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah. 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 When you have 20.
Hey, girls.
You know, you know, we could bring it next week, you can do it. If you have said. Oh, that.
How was your weekend? Huh? Good? Do anything?
We got our nails painted.
Oh, let me see. Oh, we got them green. Where's the oh no, those are yellow. Oh, they're green. What did you get? Oh, cool. Did you go somewhere or did you do it at home? Where'd you go? Some nail salon place? Cool. That sounds fun. It's always kind of fun to get your nails done. Did I put them in the wrong ones?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I can't see. I just threw them on top. I'm like, I think these were right. Might need to swap them out. I used to go get my nails done, but I don't do it anymore. I don't have time for that. I used to, but y'all heard me talking to Miss Jackie when you got here. My dad can't reach his toes anymore, so he usually goes to the nail place to get his toes done. He's not supposed to leave his assisted living facility till April 1st because he just got out of the hospital, you know. And this weekend, he decided to take himself to the nail salon with his walker and his portable oxygen and tried to die because he's lost his mind. So anyway, old people are stubborn, right? Right? How about you, Evan? You have a good weekend? Do anything fun?
Basketball game.
Basketball game? How'd you do?
Good.
Yeah, did you win? All right. Very good. Okay, so this is our last lesson of Q3. Can you believe it? We've only got one more quarter left and we're done, right? So that's a reminder that you look at your grade book when you get home today, and if you have any assignments that you still haven't turned in, this is like the last chance to turn them in, right? Before I start rolling out progress reports and sticking in zeros where you have late stuff. So look and see if you owe me anything. Okay? We good? Are we ready? Got your stuff out? You ready to start? All right, so this lesson is on animal behavior. And this is the one where we usually have the termite lab, but we had to rearrange because the termites came early and the frogs came late, and that was kind of a mess. But regardless, we will do our frogs today because we've already done our termites. So like I just said, this is the final lesson of Q3. Progress reports next week. Complete any overdue work by next Tuesday, 3/24. If I don't have it by next Tuesday, it's a what? What do you get? A zero. You don't want zeros, right? All right, so your homework looked something like so. And you're supposed to post it to the forum. I saw some of them from you guys. And that would have been what it looks like complete. So as long as you've had a chance to work on it, that's good. The whole point of posting it to the forum was somebody could share what you had found in case somebody found something different. So you could try and come to a consensus on what the right answers should be. Okay? All right. So now we're going to talk about what is behavior. Now, I have a lot of video examples to show you today. They're all very short videos, but they show you different examples of different types of behavior and different types of learning. So what's behavior? Behavior is the way an organism reacts to stimuli in its environment. A stimulus is a thing or event that evokes a specific functional reaction or a response. Now, remember, one of the characteristics of a living thing is that it responds to stimuli. Stimuli is plural, stimulus is singular, right? Give me an example of some stimulus that you are experiencing right now. Somebody. Cold weather, yeah, temperature is definitely a stimulus. How about my voice? Are you listening to me? You should be. I hope you are, right? Okay, that's also a stimulus. You got light coming in. That's a stimulus. Clothes that are touching your body, that's a stimulus. Behaviors essential to survival and reproduction include finding and catching food, selecting a habitat, avoiding predators, and finding a mate. So these are all behaviors that are the way an organism is going to react to whatever stimuli are in its environment. Some behaviors can be influenced by genes and can be inherited. Certain behaviors evolve under the influence of natural selection. If a behavior increases an individual's fitness and is influenced by genes, it tends to spread through a population over many generations. Adaptive behaviors can prove important in the survival of populations and species. Okay, so we talked about how certain characteristics, if they make an organism better suited to its environment, then that organism will pass on its genetic material to the next generation, and that characteristic will become more prevalent in the population, right? We've talked about that. That's how natural selection works. The same thing happens with behaviors if those behaviors are influenced by genes. Some behaviors are not influenced by genes, but some behaviors are. And some actual like brain wiring and neurological differences are genetically influenced. For example, like people that have executive functioning issues that we put in a category of being like ADHD people that tend to get very easily distracted by stimuli in their environment. There's a reason that still exists within the human population. And some people suggest that it might be because without those members of our population, without those members being the ones that are easily distracted, we might have all gotten eaten by predators, that they're the ones that sense, oh, something's coming, because they're distracted easily by a twig snapping or a shadow moving. And that those actually are the kind of people that have kept us alive all these years. All right, so a behavior is a response to a stimulus. So in this situation, the lion is jumping towards the zebra, and the response is to run like a bat out of you know where, because I don't want to die, says the zebra, right? In this case, the squirrel is thirsty, and drinking is the response, right? So you see a predator, you run away. You feel thirsty, you drink water. So you have a stimulus and a response. Then we have more complex behaviors. Many complex behaviors combine innate behavior, which sometimes you've called instinct in the past, with learning. So an innate behavior, which is also called what? I just said it on the last slide. An instinct, right? An instinct is fully functional the first time it's performed, although the animal has no previous experience with the stimulus. This is something that an animal doesn't have to learn. You just know how to do it. Always. It's like genetically programmed. So animals are born knowing how to do some things. An innate behavior or an instinct is a response to a stimulus that the animal did not have to learn. This is just naturally part of your genetic code that you know how to do something. So an instinct is a response to a stimulus, a behavior that an animal does not have to learn. So in this situation, what do you suppose that stimulus is right here? Do we know? So your stimulus is, I'm hungry. And what does a spider do when it's hungry? What do you do? She do? Built a web, all right? Did anybody have to teach that spider how to weave a web? She just knows, right? So she just does it. So that's a stimulus and a response. Oh, and how about these guys? We've seen this before, right? Come on. And we're going to get an ad for something that looks like fun. Oh, that looks cool. Look at him go. Did anybody teach him to do that?
Each new arrival will have to make a perilous dash to reach the ocean. Now they're on their own.
Uh-oh, look at that bird. Run!
Inevitably, the tiny defenseless hatchlings attract scores of predators. Terns and herons patrol the beach.
Uh-oh.
And in the shadows, reef sharks lie in wait.
Go, little guy. Right? Now, did anybody teach this turtle you have to go to the water? Didn't even teach it what water was or how to get there, but they know it's innate. Run! Quick! Move your little flippers and go. Ah! Will he make it? What do we think? Is he gonna make it? Go, go, go!
Great numbers will lost, but enough will make it to the ocean to ensure the species' survival.
So if you ever notice, turtle nests have a lot of eggs in them because they don't all make it, do they? If they all made it, they could probably produce fewer eggs because you would still get a good number of offspring in the population to continue the survival of the species. But if you risk a lot getting them from the nest to the water, then you have to have spares because they're not going to make it. So what's imprinting? Does anybody know what imprinting is?
Learn.
It's an innate behavior. It's a type of innate behavior. Do we know what it means? So it's the process by which some animals, usually birds, recognize and follow the first moving object they see during a critical period in their early lives. If you happen to hatch a duckling and you're around that duckling shortly after it hatches, it will see you as the first moving object and it will follow you everywhere you go. And they do that because have you ever seen ducklings follow their mommies? Like in a little line, right? They march, they swim in a little line because their innate behavior is to follow the moving thing that keeps me safe because the moving thing is usually their mother, right? And their siblings. But if it's not the mother or the siblings, if it's a dog or a cat or you or a chicken, they're going to follow that all the same. So it's a behavior which it is a behavior in which learning and instinct interact. Okay, this is what it looks like. It's okay to laugh at this duckling because it's so cute. It is a very giggly little guy. Oh, I hate ads. So this new duckling, saw this man as the first moving object. Oh, he's cute, isn't he? He's running. He's still coming. I love this with his little wings, all his little wings. He's going to stick right next to that moving object because typically in nature, that moving object is going to be his mom. In this case, it just happens to be this guy. So then we have learned behaviors, all right? So we had our innate behaviors that are behaviors that you're born with. Some of them interact with learned behaviors like imprinting. Like you know to follow the first moving thing, but what that thing is something you learn, right? Because you have to be exposed to whatever that thing is. So then we have learned behaviors. So these are acquired changes in behavior during one's lifetime, things you take on as you develop. So for example, like babies are born with a startle reflex. If you take a newborn baby and you lift its little hands up and you let them go, they will shake because that is a startle reflex. So that's an innate behavior is to like, it's like flinching, right? But you learn what things are worth flinching about. Like if I tossed a little puffball to you, you probably wouldn't, whoa! But if I threw a hand grenade at you, you would probably flinch, right? Because some things are dangerous and some things are not. So in this case, we're talking about things that we learn. Okay, there are four main types of learned behaviors. Anybody know any of them? So our first one is going to be habituation, which is basically getting used to something. That's just say conditioning. It's missing a G there. Insight learning and imprinting, again, we're going to put imprinting kind of in this category because you do have to learn what you imprint on. All right, so habituation. Does anybody know what habituation means? I said it's like getting used to something, right? Can anybody think of an example? What's going on in that picture, do you suppose? You got a lion pair in front. Yeah, photographer, safari, that truck. Is that normal part of a lion's habitat to have like a truck there? No. So do you suppose that the first time they saw that truck, they ignored it? No, but they appear to be ignoring it now, right? So habituation is the process by which an animal decreases or stops its response to a repetitive stimulus that neither rewards nor harms the animal. Okay, if we were to, okay, so we have a habit here where sometimes when we open the deli drawer in the fridge and get out cheese or cold cuts or whatever, sometimes Ozzy gets a little nibble. Because he's cute and he comes and he sits there and he looks at you and wants you to pay the cheese tax. Okay. So he's learned that that's rewarding. But if we stopped giving him a little nip of cheese or a little nip of turkey when he showed up in the kitchen, we stopped doing that. Eventually, he would stop coming into the kitchen every time we open a deli drip because there's no reward and he doesn't get harmed. It's just another stimulus, it's another sound. If I open any other cabinet in that room or any other drawer or just the fridge door, he doesn't move. It's only when we open the deli drawer that he hears it and he goes, oh, there's cheese in there. But if we, because we don't give him things from the other cat, if I open the silverware drawer, he doesn't move. There's no reward in that and there's no harm in that. All right, so here's an example. These horses have a balloon in their pasture. They've never seen it before.
Risky to let the horses explore the balloon while it was on the floor, because if one of them falls with their front legs and it's hot, then they will feel fearful towards balloons. Whereas the idea, habituate to the balloon, and they see that they don't need to respond to it, and they just want to ignore it.
See, the balloon didn't do anything to them, right? They all checked it out. Doesn't seem dangerous, doesn't seem rewarding. Moving on. Now, if that balloon had popped when one of them nudged it, what do you suppose would happen? Yeah, they would probably run. They'd probably be startled. And the next time they saw a balloon, do you think they'd approach it like that? No, they'd be scared of it, right? They would have learned something about this is a dangerous. Wow. That was fun. I have a spare one of those, thank goodness. But yeah, if y'all can help me gather them up. Thank you. I threw pennies everywhere. No, that's fun. I'm gonna grab a cup for them real quick. Why I'll do that. Here we go. Toss them in here. They went everywhere, didn't they, y'all? Of course, it's a hardwood, which makes them harder to pick up because they're stuck to it. There you go. Thank you guys for helping. There we go. Toss them all in there. Thanks, Gay. That was funny. Made a heck of an explosion, didn't it? Oh, yeah. Thank you. All right, let's not do that again. So yeah, so the balloon did not startle the horses. So they did not react to it at all after they saw that it caused no problem, they moved on, right? So then we have something called classical conditioning. This is what happens when you train your dog. All right, a lot of what you do when you train a dog is classical conditioning. So it's a certain stimulus comes to produce a particular response, usually through an association with a positive or negative experience. So I have a treat in my hand. I say, Ozzy, sit. He does what he's asked. He gets a treat. Eventually, he doesn't need the treat because he's learned Ozzy, sit, and he does it, right? Now, if you had a baby who was reaching for a hot stove and you smacked its hand and said, nope, that's a negative thing, right? You've just smacked that hand. That's negative. That baby would learn if I reach towards that stove, I'm going to get my hand smacked and I'm not going to do it again, right? So you can influence classical conditioning through either a positive or a negative response to whatever the stimuli. The stimuli can be Ozzy plays and he will go there and he will get a treat, or sometimes he just gets approval. Like, good boy, that's all he needs. Actually, eye contact works for him. If you look at him, that's all he needs. Like, he's like, oh, I did something right. It's positive, right? So you can try this at home with one of your siblings. So Pavlov, there was this guy named Pavlov, okay? And Ivan Pavlov, and he is famous for an experiment known as Pavlov's dog. So what he did to condition a response with his dog is he would ring a bell and put the dog's food down in front of him. Ring a bell, food, again and again, right? Then he would ring the bell and look at the dog, and the dog was salivating because it means food's coming, right? Like just dripping. Where's my dinner? Because he's come to associate the bell with food, right? So in this case, this guy is going to condition a response from his brother relatively quickly using an auditory stimulus. And it's pretty fascinating. You can absolutely try this with a sibling or even a parent, see if it works.
What's up, guys? I'm Andrew Bowders, and today I'll be conducting Ivan Pavlov's experiment on classical conditioning. And today, I'm going to be conditioning my older brother James, and hopefully by the end of the experiment, he will flinch in response to an alert sound on my cell phone. Classical conditioning, the unconditioned stimulus causes an unconditioned response. Then a neutral stimulus is paired with the unconditioned stimulus. Then the neutral stimulus alone causes a response. Initially, I will use an alert sound from my phone as a neutral stimulus to get an unconditional response. Then for the next few trials, I will use this unconditional stimulus of the ball hitting my brother to get an unconditional response. Next in the experiment,
Just the sound.
to make a neutral stimulus of the alert sound from my phone with the exact same reaction as the paper ball being thrown at my brother through classical conditioning. After each alert sound, I will throw one paper ball at my brother. Like that one. You want attention? You trying to get attention? Somebody, like, point out. Stop.
He didn't even throw the ball.
It actually worked. The condition stimulus of the alert from my phone received a correct condition response of my brother flinching. Thanks, Ivan Pavlov.
He did more than flinch. He threw the pen at him. Right? And then we have operant conditioning. And this is a form of trial and error learning, and it's the use of a reward or a punishment to teach an animal to behave a certain way through repeated practice. This has been shown a lot with like lab rats, actual lab rats. And what they'll do is they'll have like different little paddles in their cage, and one of those paddles will give food and the others don't give food. So the rat will try each paddle, trial and error, until it gets the one that gives it food, and then it stops hitting all the others and just goes back to the one that releases food. So that's a good example of how operant conditioning works. And this is kind of an example here too.
Like if you score one basketball shot, you get one candy, okay? Go. Here.
He did it. So trial and error, and he got it on the first try. So that was lucky. And then we have insight learning. So this is operant conditioning kind of, but now you're using, so like the trial and error would be the hitting of the paddles for the rat again and again, trying to find what worked. The insight learning would be once he realized which one was giving him food, going back to that one again and again. That's using insight, right? You've learned something. So insight learning is when you apply to a new situation something that you learned in another context. So say the paddle was triangular shaped, the one that gave food to the rat every time, and you move the rat to a new cage, and all the paddles are square except one triangular shaped, and it goes straight to the triangular shape because it has learned that's where the food was last time. So now I'm going to apply it. So what's this guy? You know what he is? You're right, raven or crow. Yeah, ravens are much, much bigger. Yeah, but yeah, very similar. Ravens are like real big. Crows are big too. Okay, and the ravens also tend to have like almost like a bigger throat, like a beard, almost like a beard. They're real big. But yeah, so crows and ravens, crows are really, really smart. Did you know that? You can actually make friends with wild crows. If you give them food, they will bring you things. They will bring you pebbles or Pop Tops from cans, things they find. They'll bring you treats and you can give them treats. They're very social and they're very smart. Well, this is going to show you just how smart this crow is. All right, so they've got some tubes here with floating food and some pebbles. So clearly what this crow has to do is displace the water in the center tube so that the floating food reaches the top and he can get it. One of these tubes is connected to the center tube. So when he drops the pebbles in, it displaces the water and the water level rises. The other tube is not connected. And he figures out very quickly which is which because they're very, very smart. Look, he's like, I've done this before. I don't know which one is the right one. Okay, it moved. Let me see. If I put this in here, will it move? I didn't notice it moved. Let me try one more time. Nope. All right, now I know. It's got to be this other tube. Yep. See how he's working through the problem? And one more of these. He knows the blue one doesn't work. Snatch. Got the peanut. So figured it out. Figured it out by applying what he learned. All right, and then we have, if a dog gets excited upon seeing her leash, she's been conditioned to associate the leash with a walk. Anybody ever seen a dog do that? If I bring out the leash, Ozzy is excited. He knows he's going somewhere. If I bring out his clicker collar that he wears when there's company here, he also gets excited because he knows things are about to happen. Something's going to happen. Something good's coming, right? If a duck follows you home, it may have imprinted on you as its mother, like that man running down the road with a little duck following him everywhere he went, right? Oh, what's that? That's a hamster, yeah. Insight involves using what an animal has learned before, like how to escape from a cage again and again. You ever had a hamster that escapes? I had a mouse that escaped. My mother's terrified of rodents and she didn't even want me to keep the thing. And she was kind enough to let me have the mouse and then it got loose. And she was not happy for like a week until we found it. So then we have patterns of behavior. Okay, so animals use mostly sounds, scents, and body movements to communicate with one another. The deer that we have around here. Do you know what kind of deer they are? What they're called? Called white-tailed deer. Have you ever noticed that the tail on the back of them is bright white if you're looking at them from behind? The rest of them blends in with the trees, right? But the tail is white. Why do you suppose that is? What's the white tail for? What do you think? So it's when they're moving as a herd, the other deer follow that. They are attuned to that white blaze in the woods, and I'm following that. And they follow the other tails of the deer ahead of them. So that's a movement, a particular type of movement with a color stimulus that they have been trained to follow. So sound, sense, and body movements. So then you have social behaviors. So interactions among animals of the same species are social behaviors. So here are several types. Courtship rituals, how to get a mate, right? Territorial behavior, all right? And cooperation. Now, my dog is very territorial about his yard. There's a cute little West Highland White over here named Cyrus that Ozzy would like to rip to shreds because Cyrus dares approach the fence. There are two little cute, tiny little girly dogs over here, and they come near the fence and he tries to murder them too because this is my yard. Get out of my yard, right? He's defending his perimeter. And a lot of animals will do that. So courtship rituals, does anybody know what that is? That is a peacock spider. Isn't he pretty? He's pretty, right? For a spider, I guess. So animals, usually males, perform courtship behaviors to attract a mate. It's an elaborate series of courtship behaviors, and we call it a courtship ritual. All right, these are great examples. These are different types of birds of paradise. So male birds in particular are really well known for courtship rituals. They will do all sorts of things to try and attract a mate. And this is a big takeaway here in general. For most animal species in the world, the females are choosy. The males want to be chosen. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the females are choosy? Who's investing in actually reproducing and rearing young? The male or the female, usually? Yeah, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of risk. It takes a lot of time. You got to have extra resources. The female has more to risk than the male. So she's going to be very picky about who she mates with. Well, the males are just like, anybody, like that's, they just want to mate, right? Anybody, I'm here. And they show off for everybody because they just want to get picked. But it's usually the females that are going to go, no, no, no. All right. You know what I mean? So here's some birds of paradise doing their thing. And it looks kind of funny to us, but to a female bird of paradise, this is hot. right? This is hot. They're like, ooh, he's super hot. Look at him. Woo!
In the great island of New Guinea, there are 42 different species of birds of paradise, each more bizarre than the last.
Hey, baby, look at me. That's all this is. Hey, baby, look at me. I'm hot. Look at how hot I am. Like, that's really what they're doing. Him too.
This forest is so rich that nourishing food can be gathered very quickly. That leaves the male six-plumed bird of paradise with time to concentrate on other matters, like tidying up his display area.
Look at that. He's cleaning up. So you can focus on him and not the mess around him, right? Look. He's using a leaf to wipe the branch down. That's wild. Here I go. Woo! Hey girls, look at me. Look at him.
Very impressive, but no one is watching. The superb bird of paradise calls to attract a female,
Lovely voice.
and he has more luck. But what does he have to do to really impress her?
Look at her watching like, I don't know.
She retires. Consider her verdict. It's hard not to feel deflated when even your best isn't good enough.
She's unimpressed. Yeah, later. No, I don't think so. He put forth all that effort. She's like, no, thanks. That's so sad. Mockingbirds that we have here, northern mockingbirds, the male mockingbirds will sing, they will replicate the songs of other birds. And I had that one that sat outside my bedroom window for like 3 or 4 nights in a row. They're not supposed to sing into the night, but he was so desperate because all the girls were ignoring him, and he sat up there and sang a string of everybody else's song into the wee hours of the night, like all the different bird songs, one after another. So territorial behavior. Many animals occupy a specific area or territory that they defend against competitors. Animals may use threatening behaviors or aggression to defend themselves or their territories. Animals also use aggression when they compete for resources. These moose, they usually do this because they're competing for a resource, and that resource is a female, right? They will fight over a female. Whoever wins gets the girl, if she lets you. But he gets the right to at least attempt it. Now, hippopotami, they are very territorial. So much so that even a big scary lion isn't enough to keep them from defending their territory.
Oh, I lion. We're Christian and looking for territory. It's the dry season, a daily battle for survival. And like the hippos, they rely on both land and water. 12 lions of various ages. It's a lot of mouths to feed. To satisfy 12 bellies efficiently, they need to set their sights on big prey. They're hungry and thirsty. Temperatures are soaring over 100 degrees, and they can smell water. To get a drink, they need to breach the riverbed. But this is hippo country. They must respect the bull's territory.
Hippos are cute, but they are very aggressive.
Hippos are fiercely territorial.
Look at them all.
Notoriously aggressive.
Thank you.
Defending their patch.
Oh, just leave them by the doors.
Even lions give them a wide berth. The prime male bows to no one.
Uh-oh. This isn't going to be pretty, right? I mean, that's a lion, king of the jungle. He does not care. Get out of my water. This is my water.
Single lion is no match for an enraged hippo 10 times his weight. The water line marks the boundary, and to cross it, he'd better be primed for battle.
So yeah, you'd need a couple of lions to take down a hippo because they are big and aggressive. So then we have other social behaviors such as cooperation. Some animals form what? What do you call a group that interacts loosely and often closely and often cooperative? A colony is a good example. That's a good word. A society is the one we're looking for. But yes, a colony would be another way to describe that group. Okay. So the theory that helping a relative survive increases the chance of transmitting one's own genes is called what? Do you know? So this is kin selection. The most complex animal societies are those formed by social insects such as ants, bees, and wasps. And all animals in the society cooperate closely to perform complex tasks like building nests. You know that honeybees will go out and they'll find nectar and then they'll come back and they'll do a dance. Have you ever seen how they do that? They'll do like a dance that is basically a language. The other bees can understand what the dance means, and then they now know how to get to the nectar because they can't speak. So it's like a series of coordinated moves. It's almost like watching a baseball umpire give like hands, not an umpire, but like a catcher give hand signals. You know what I mean? Have you seen that? It's the same kind of a thing. So you've got ants that do things like this. What are they doing, do you suppose? Yeah, they're building a bridge. They're trying to go get from this leaf to this leaf. So they'll build a bridge and then the other ants will just walk across the bridge. Cooperation helps animals to stay safe, maintain territory, and find food. And a lot of why they're doing this is because they're all related in this society. They're all related to one another genetically, and they're trying to keep that those genes passed down to the next generation. So if we work together, we're more likely to pass our genes to the next generation. So here are how some ants might behave together.
When it comes to feeding the colony, ant ingenuity and teamwork has been taken to another level in Argentina.
Look at him go.
Although there appears to be plenty of food for these leaf-cutting ants, the lush fields are actually deceptive, because these leaves are naturally protected with cellulose, which ants are incapable of digesting.
Ooh.
To combat this, The colony form a production line. Worker ants use their mandibles to cut up the leaves. Others then transport the harvest back to the colony. Where underground, more ants chew the leaves to create a thick mash. This mash is then used as a compost to cultivate a particular type of fungus that the ants can eat. They've been doing this for 50 million years.
That's pretty wild.
Making them some of the oldest farmers on the planet.
There's a really good leafcutter ant display in the New York Museum of Natural History that when we went back in December, Jason and I stared at the ants for probably 20 minutes because it was so fascinating. Yeah, have you seen the leafcutter ant display? It's like a giant tank with a moat and all the plants, and then they like crawl up these pipes and they go across the ceiling and yeah. It's wild. It's really wild. So then we have competition. This is another social behavior, but this is not cooperation. We aren't working together here. Animals compete for all the things they need to live. They compete for territory, shelter, food, water.
When did you go there?
We went December.
You went December 30.
Yeah, we were there a couple weeks before that. So territory, shelter, food, water, and mates. These are all things we have to compete for. So we can communicate. Organisms can communicate. The passing of information from one individual to another is communication. Animals use a variety of signals for communication, including visual communication, chemical communication, and sound. Communication can also involve the use of language. So you have language like I'm doing right now, right? I'm using language, but like those dances and stuff that the bees do, that's kind of a type of a language, right? They are communicating. So here's an example of visual communication. What is this cat saying? Is he saying, come pet me? No, what's he saying? Yeah, back off, right? Why is he doing that? Why does that mean back off? Yes, he makes himself look much bigger, right? Puffs his hair up, arches his back. I look big and scary, don't come near me. So when a cat straightens its legs, arches its back, raises its hackles, it's stressed and it's trying to look bigger and more threatening. How about this betta fish? This is just like Bob, right? If you put a mirror up to a betta fish, look what it does. See how he just made himself bigger and more threatening? Puffed up his gills, puffed up his fins like that. Watch him when he sees that mirror. He goes woof and gets real big. Why is he doing that? He thinks he sees another male. He doesn't know that's him. He thinks he sees another male and he's like, ooh, you're a threat. Watch. Ooh, stand up all those fins, look at, whoa, right? He thinks he sees another male, so he's trying to scare it away. Another form of chemical communication. So this involves scents and things like when animals mark or spray. Like this guy is spraying that tree. He's putting his scent on it. You ever walk a dog and watch him stop and pee in the same place that every other dog has stopped and peed? They always pee on the same things, the little utility boxes, the fire hydrants, right? It's because they're marking it. This is mine. I was here last. Now it's mine. You know, so the next dog comes and he pees on it. He goes, now it's mine because I was here last, right? Animals often use chemical communications to mark territory. They leave pheromones or chemical marks behind. Some animals leave scent posts to mark their territory. A scent post is something that is marked by an animal with its scent. Scent posts are the set boundaries of an animal's territory. And then another type of chemical, we talk about these pheromones, right, is a chemical that sends a message. So here's a way that sometimes chemical communication can occur to let I'm sorry, to encourage mating in a species. So these are
The female.
lemurs.
It's her choice, and she's unpredictable. A chance for fatherhood is up for grabs. Fights quickly break out.
See, all the boys are fighting over her because she's giving off a scent that says, I'm ready to mate.
The object of their affection just sits and waits. Whilst the squabbles continue, one sneaky young male sees an opportunity to make his move. He hopes to win her heart by more subtle means. With an air of nonchalance, he settles down and begins to smear scent onto his tail from glands on his wrist. The perfume he wafts over her will tell her a lot about what he has to offer as a potential partner. And he just might offer something that the other males don't.
He's trying.
He may not be the strongest fighter, but the very latest science suggests that his scent might contain clues to a different strength. His ability to fight illness and parasites, which he could pass on to her offspring.
He's trying. Look, she's like, get away.
She's still not convinced. Maybe she should wait for the outcome of the fight. The battle continues unresolved.
So another type of communication would be sound. Some organisms can vocalize. Whales can speak through clicks, whistles, pulsed calls. There are different vocal dialects that exist between different pods of orcas, for example. It's almost like they each have their own little language of dialect, right? I'll come back to that guy in just a second. So technologies for tracking animals. Scientists can learn about animals' movements through tracking them. So we do things like this, where we put transmitters on animals that don't harm them, but that we can use to track and see where the animals go. So language. So I want you to know about Kanzi. So Kanzi was a bonobo at the Yerkes Primate Center in Atlanta. And he learned to communicate using a keyboard with lexicograms, which are kind of like pictures or symbols that mean something. Like one might mean food, one might mean water, that kind of a thing. So he also picked up some American Sign Language from watching videos of Coco, the gorilla that communicated using American Sign Language. Kanzi's keeper did not realize Kanzi could sign until he signed "You Gorilla Question" when an anthropologist was visiting. So bonobos have different vocal tracts than humans, which makes them incapable of reproducing most of the vocal sounds humans can make. Nonetheless, it was noticed that every time Kanzi communicated with humans with specifically designed symbols, he would also produce some type of vocalization. So though he can't talk, he would still make sounds when he was doing sign language. Kanzi was later discovered that Kanzi was producing the articulatory equivalent of the symbols he was indicating, although in a very high pitch with distortions. So he's trying to speak, but he doesn't have the anatomy to speak the way we do, but he would still use his hands to give actual American Sign Language symbols to his handlers, and he would make sounds while he was doing it because they would be like, eat, and he would go, because he can't say eat, but he was trying to communicate. I want you to know that your study topics for this exam, for Unit 7 test, are going to be in your student resources folder. So go and look there because there's a bigger study guide for this one because we covered a lot of different things. And I'll go back to that cute frog for a minute. So here's the little frog, and then maybe not. Example of vocalization.
But sometimes more unexpected sounds grab our attention. Like this desert rain frog. Squeaking viral sensation 11 million hits and counting. It sounds like a dog cry. But actually, this is the sonorous war cry of a very angry frog.
That's what he sounds like when he's mad. I mean, come on. Isn't that the cutest? All right, y'all can get your lab out and we'll go ahead and get started.